He thought the Apache woman was starving for food, until she refused every bite and pointed toward his lonely ranch instead. Then a powerful trader arrived with an old contract and warned the cowboy that the mysterious silver bracelet on her wrist was worth far more than he could imagine. But when she suddenly disappeared before sunrise, leaving that bracelet behind, Caleb followed her into the wilderness, and what she told him there changed everything. Watch the full video on our page to discover what happened next, and subscribe so you don't miss the story. Before we start the story, tell me in the comments where are you listening from, and what time is right now. The cowboy thought the Apache woman was hungry for food. He was wrong. Her real hunger was for something much harder to find. A safe place, a little trust, and a life where no one else could decide what happened to her. Caleb Mercer discovered that on a quiet afternoon in Arizona, when he found a young Apache woman sitting beside a dry creek less than a quarter-mile from his ranch. She was wrapped in a faded wool blanket. Dust covered her long, dark hair, and her boots were worn almost smooth. In her hand was a small silver bracelet marked with a crescent moon. Caleb stopped his horse and studied her carefully. "You need water?" he asked. The woman looked at him for several seconds, as if trying to decide what kind of man he was. Caleb took his canteen, placed it on the ground a few feet away, and stepped back. She slowly reached for it and drank. Caleb then opened his canvas bag and took out cold cornbread, dried beef, and an apple he had saved for supper. "It's not much," he said gently, "but it'll keep you going." She looked at the food, but she did not touch it. "You haven't eaten?" Caleb asked. She shook her head. "Not hungry?" Again she shook her head. Caleb looked at the empty land around them. A woman this far from any settlement should have been desperate for food. Instead, she was watching him. "Then what are you hungry for?" For the first time, something changed in her eyes. She looked toward Caleb's ranch house in the distance, then back at him. "That," she said quietly. "My house?" She nodded. Caleb felt a strange uneasiness. "You know me?" "No," she whispered. "I'm trying to know you." Those words stayed with Caleb. He knew this was not really about food. Just before sunset, Caleb led her toward his ranch. He kept his horse walking slowly so she would not have to hurry. When they reached the house, he told her she could stay until she decided where to go. Inside, the woman noticed everything: the old wooden table, the stove, the simple bedroom. Then her eyes stopped on an empty wooden chair beside the fire. "That was my wife's chair," Caleb explained. "She is gone?" "6 years now." The woman looked at the chair again. "You kept it." Caleb looked down. "Some things are easier to leave where they were." She understood the loneliness in his voice. Later, Caleb told her to sleep in the bedroom, but she did not sleep there. She chose a seat near the open doorway, where she could always see the way out. Caleb noticed. He did not question her. "You are safe here," he said. "How do I know?" "You don't have to know tonight." He walked away and left the hallway open. Only then did she begin to relax. The next morning, Caleb found her sitting on the porch. She had barely slept. "Too many quiet places," she explained. Caleb brought her coffee and sat a few feet away. "Why did you help me?" she asked. Because you needed help. Her answer came softly. That is not always enough. Over the next few days, Caleb began to understand her better. She watched how he cared for an old mare that other ranchers might have ignored. She noticed that he still kept his wife's chair. She noticed that he never demanded anything in return for his kindness. For the first time, she smiled. Then she finally told him why she had come. Her name was Eliza. Her family had once owned land near the San Pedro River. Her father raised horses, and her mother grew corn. They had a small home and a peaceful life. Then Silas Crow arrived. Crow owned a powerful trading post and wanted the land because of its water. After Eliza's parents disappeared, she was only 16 years old. Crow took advantage of her fear and confusion. He gave her food and a place to stay, then put papers in front of her that she could not properly understand. He told her they were harmless. They were not. Those papers were being used to claim that her family had given up their land. But Eliza's mother had never agreed to surrender it. The silver crescent bracelet was one of the few things Eliza had left from her family. It carried their family mark and could help prove their original claim. Crow wanted that bracelet, and he wanted Eliza under his control. One morning, 2 riders and Silas Crow himself arrived at Caleb's ranch. Crow held up an old document. That woman is under contract to return to the trading post, he said. Eliza stepped forward. I was 16. Caleb looked at Crow. She is not going anywhere unless she chooses to. Crow's smile disappeared. You are making a mistake, Mercer. I can live with that. Crow looked at the silver bracelet. You have no idea what that is worth. After he left, Eliza finally explained everything. She had not come to Caleb because she expected him to save her. She came because a woman in Tucson had told her about a rancher who once gave his last sack of flour to a poor family. Eliza wanted to know if that story was true. Caleb barely remembered doing it, but Eliza remembered. She had spent years learning that every meal could have a price, and every roof could come with a condition. Caleb was different. Then Eliza showed Caleb another piece of evidence, a letter from her mother. The county clerk read it and realized the old land agreement had never been legally surrendered. Soon an old land registry and a faded survey map revealed something even bigger. Eliza's family's original land reached farther north than anyone had realized. It overlapped the area around Caleb's ranch. Suddenly, Caleb understood. Crow did not really want Eliza. He wanted the land her bracelet could help prove belonged to her family. But Crow was not finished. He began putting pressure on the people in town. He tried to convince neighbors to stop supporting Caleb. He offered better prices and favors to anyone who would turn against them. Eliza became afraid that Caleb would lose everything because of her. So before sunrise one morning, she left. When Caleb woke, he found the silver bracelet on his table and a short note beside it. She had gone because she believed disappearing would protect him. Caleb saddled his horse and followed the old mission road. He found her beneath a cottonwood tree. You should not have followed me, she said. Probably not. Then why did you? Because leaving without saying goodbye is not the same as choosing to leave. Eliza told him Crow would use her to hurt his ranch. Caleb shook his head. You are not something Crow can use against me. He returned her silver bracelet. If you come back, he said, come back because you want to. Eliza looked at him for a long moment. She had spent years believing every place came with a price. Now Caleb was offering her something she had almost forgotten existed. A choice. "Take me home," she said. They rode back together. This time Eliza was not following Caleb because she had nowhere else to go. She was riding beside him because she had chosen the road herself. When they reached the ranch, the county clerk was waiting with 2 other men. Crow had filed another claim. The old survey map showed that Eliza's family's land might extend across the valley. The clerk also brought a copy of a 20-year-old land registry from Tucson. Eliza saw her mother's name on it. For years she had carried one small bracelet, because it was almost all she had left of her family. Now she had proof that her family's name still existed. The hearing took place the next day. Crow arrived confident that his old papers would win. But one by one, the records told a different story. The silver crescent carried the family mark. The old letter showed that Eliza's mother had never surrendered the land. The registry confirmed her family's ownership. The survey map showed the true boundary. Finally, the truth became impossible to ignore. Crow had no legal claim to the Redbird land. The document he had relied upon had been signed by someone who never owned the property. The judge closed the folder. Crow had lost. No one celebrated loudly. They did not need to. Eliza stood outside the courthouse holding her family's restored papers in one hand and the silver bracelet in the other. "For 20 years, she whispered, I thought my family had been taken from me." She looked at the bracelet. "Now I have their name back." Caleb smiled. "That is worth more than land." She looked at him. "You gave me both." Caleb shook his head. "No, I didn't give you anything. It was yours." Those words meant more to Eliza than Caleb realized. All her life, people had talked about what belonged to them. This was the first time someone had reminded her that something could belong to her without belonging to someone else first. They returned to the ranch that afternoon. Nothing had changed, yet everything felt different. The same creek ran beside the cottonwoods. The same old barn needed repairs. The same wooden chair stood beside the stove. But the house no longer felt empty. That evening, Caleb cooked supper. It was cornbread, beans, roasted vegetables, and fresh apples. He placed 2 cups of coffee on the table. Eliza took one sip. "You still make terrible coffee." Caleb smiled. "You still drink it." "Maybe I am getting used to it." They laughed softly. Later, they sat together on the porch while the sun disappeared behind the hills. Caleb remembered the first day. "You would not eat." Eliza smiled. "I was hungry." "For what?" She looked across the quiet ranch. "For a place where I could choose to stay." Caleb said nothing. Eliza touched the silver bracelet. She finally understood the difference between being kept and being welcomed. For the first time in many years, she was not waiting for someone to decide where she belonged. She had chosen, and that was enough. Thank you so much for watching this story all the way till the end. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. It really helps us a lot. If you want to watch more exciting stories like this, don't forget to subscribe our page right now. Tell me in the comments, Where are you listening from? And what time is right now? And if this story touched your heart, please send some stars. Every single star gives us huge motivation to keep creating more amazing videos for you. See you in the next story. Take care of you, friends.